Hi there. Welcome to live stream Yoga with Louise, tips and cues to keep you safe and strong on the mat. Today we are unlocking the lower three chakras from root to navel. We're going to be playing with short sequences that we will put on repeat to open up the body gradually. Remember, play where you are, modify if you need to, rest when you need to. You ready? Let's hit the mat. We're going to set up for today's class coming into a soft standing straddle line. Make a nice wide V between both legs, splaying your toes out so that they're looking to the corners of the mat. Just begin by starting to find a sense of drawing energy up through the legs. So think of starting to ground through all four corners of your feet. Start to draw the energy up along the bridges of your feet and then extend that pull through your shins, through the kneecaps, through the top of your thighs, through the lower belly, and start to find a sense of lengthening in the trunk, almost as if you were trying to gently pull your whole trunk out the waist and float it towards the sky. At the same time, make the arms heavy at your side and start to drop your shoulders away from your ears. Keep playing with that. Draw up through the legs. Take a big breath in, filling your lungs to maximum capacity. And then on a nice lazy exhale, you're going to think soft plie line, almost like a goddess line. You're going to bend through the knees, but make sure the knees aren't collapsing in. So open up the knees to the side of the room while relaxing your hands to the top of your thighs. Then inhale to stand up nice and tall. Draw the energy toe to navel, navel to crown. Relax those arms. Exhale to take a seat. Tuck the tailbone under, pull the belly button in. Find that soft contraction in the core. Inhale to stand up nice and tall. Draw the energy from the tops of your feet to your knees, from your knees to your navel, from your navel to your crown. On a nice lazy exhale, bend through the knees, trying to drop down a little bit more through the pelvis. Inhale to stand up nice and tall. Exhale to bend through the knees. Then the next time you find yourself in a standing frame, start to bring the back leg in. Start to rotate through the feet, coming into a pyramid line with all 10 toes looking to the front of the mat and your hips looking to the front of your mat. You're going to bend the elbows, placing your hands behind your back, just stacking one forearm on top of the other. Start to play with that draw of energy up from your feet to your knees, from your knees to your lower belly. And then on a nice lazy exhale, you're going to fold into a tabletop line, keeping that pyramid leg line. You're going to feel quite an intense stretch up the leg. The gap between your legs can be narrow or it can be a little bit wider, depending on how you're feeling this morning. Big inhale in, exhale to fold forward in your tabletop line. Look for a sense of growing from the trunk towards the crown as you fold forward. Inhale to stand up nice and tall. Exhale to fold. Now see if you can either stay here in pyramid or bring it into a warrior 3 from here. So you're going to transfer the weight from the back leg to the front leg. You can use the toe of the back leg until you find your balance. Float the back leg up into table, trying to keep nice and stable through the shoulders and the hips. So try not to drop lower on one side. Then bleed your way from here into a baby tree, bending the left leg, placing the sole of the left foot on the inseam of the right leg, and we're going to start low with the big toe on the floor, just trying to open up softly through the hips, through your chest. Then bleed your way from here back into your original start line, finding that soft standing straddle. Start to draw the energy toe to knee, knee to belly, belly to crown. On a lazy exhale, think plie line, dropping down. Keep your tailbone tucked under, belly button pulled in. Inhale to stand up nice and tall. Draw the energy up along the legs. Relax those arms, nice and heavy at your side. Exhale to take that plie seat. Inhale to look for that sense of lengthening through the legs, lengthening through the entire trunk. Exhale as you think goddess, Uttaka Konasana. Let's do that one more time. Exhale to take a seat. Then the next time you find yourself in a standing frame, we're going to rotate and find our pyramid line, this time looking towards the back end of the mat as you bend at the elbows, stacking the hands behind you. Take a big breath in, looking for that sense of lengthening through the trunk. Keep that sense of lengthening as you hinge forward, coming down evenly through both shoulders. So get a sense of whether you're dropping down lower on one shoulder as you come into the pyramid fold. Readjust your leg line if you need to after the first one. And then inhale to stand up nice and tall. On an active exhale, fold forward. Inhale to stand up nice and tall. Exhale to fold. Look for that sense of lengthening through the trunk all the way to your crown. Then see if you can transfer the weight from the back leg to the front leg and float up weightlessly into a warrior three-like line, trying to stay as stable as you can to the shoulders and the hips. Then bleed your way into a baby tree line, bending the right leg, placing the sole of the right foot on the inseam of the left leg. We'll do the first one nice and low with your big toe connected to the mat. Just stand here trying to find a sense of stillness, control, and balance. Then ease your way from here back into your original straddle line on the mat. Hands relaxed on the top of your thighs, maybe opening up the legs a little bit wider this time. Exhale to find your seat. Maybe giving me a little wiggle in the center and seeing if you can drop down just a little bit more. So now the tops of your thighs are more parallel to the mat. And the legs are perhaps just a little bit wider. Inhale to stand up. Draw the energy toe to knee, knee to belly, belly to crown. Relax those arms so that the shoulders and the collar line drops away from the ears. Exhale to think plie. Keep the belly button pulled in and keep that little tilt of the pubic bone towards the 12 o'clock position. Inhale to stand up nice and tall. Pull up from the feet to the knees, from the knees to the belly, from the belly to the crown. Exhale to find that bend. The next time you stand up, you're going to set up a wider pyramid line, and this time I'd like you to either keep the stack of the hands behind your back, or you can bring your hands to active prayer by bringing the two palms together behind your back. So set up your pyramid line. If you've got the hands in active prayer, try to push into both palms and feel that little almost buzz or hum of electricity happen between the two hands. Exhale to fold forward, finding a beautiful tabletop line through the body. Then inhale to stand up nice and tall. Exhale to fold. Inhale to stand up nice and tall. One last time. Hold the next fold. Looking for that delicious sense of stretching up the lead leg. And then when you're ready, see if you can find your warrior three from here. So transfer the weight from the back leg to the front leg. Try to keep even through the hips and the shoulders on both sides. So pretend you've got a spirit level floating between the two hips and between the two shoulders, and you're trying to keep it as level as you can. Then step your way into a midway tree with the whole foot wrapped around the inside of your calf below the knee line. So make sure you're not pressing into the knee joint itself. Keep that inverted prayer position behind your back and start to open up a little bit, maybe through the chest center, in addition to the lower three chakras. Then bleed your way from here back into your nice wider star line. Give the wrists a relax if you need to. Draw the energy, feet to knees, knees to belly, belly to crown. Relax on the exhale. Tilt the pelvis to the 12 o'clock position. Find that soft contraction in the core. Make sure that the knees are not falling in to center. You can relax the hands on the top of your thighs, wherever is comfortable for you. And then inhale to stand up nice and tall. Draw the energy, feet to knees, knees to belly, belly to crown. Exhale to find your clear line. Hands either on your thighs or on the knees, whichever is working for you. Inhale to stand up tall one last time. Think of that drawing up of the energy. Feet to knees, knees to belly, belly to crown. Exhale to bend through the knees. Dropping down a little bit closer towards the floor. And then the next time you find yourself in a standing frame, you're going to pivot both legs to look towards the back of the mat. You're going to try to set up that inverted prayer line with the two palms together behind your back. Take a big breath in, looking for that sense of lengthening through the trunk. Keep that sense of lengthening as you begin to hinge forward, coming into a beautiful tabletop line and trying to extend that tug, that pulling away through the trunk as you draw the energy up through the quads of both legs. Then stand up nice and tall on an active inhale. Use an active exhale to fold forward and then pause in your tabletop line, looking for that sense of length through the trunk. Keep drawing the energy up on that top quad. One last time, stand up nice and tall. Exhale to fold. Pause in the fold. And then when you're ready, you're going to set up your warrior three balance. So transferring the weight from the back leg to the front leg, using your toe to check that you're even through the shoulders and the hips. And then floating up into a tabletop line when you're ready. Looking for balance, looking for control. And then easing your way from here into a midway tree with the sole of the right foot wrapped around the inside calf of your stabilizing leg, with the knees splayed softly out to the side of the room, trying to keep that active prayer position of the hands behind your back. Then softly come back to your straddle line. Just release those wrists if you did have them in the inverted prayer-like position. We're coming into that plie-like line, but this time you're going to take your feet even wider. You're going to start with a soft knee. So think high plie, high lazy plie, if you like. Maybe try to get more rotation through the feet so that they're almost looking towards the front of the mat and not so much the front corner, but rather the front side. So more turnout on the feet, if you can. You're going to give me a double tap towards the floor and come back. If you can't reach the floor, just drop down a little bit lower and then peel back up. So open up slowly. Give yourself a few taps, maybe 5 sets of taps to the floor, bending and gently extending through the legs. You're going to end in a deep plie line, and then you're going to straighten up both legs, coming into prasarita, a wide standing straddle with all 10 toes looking in the same orientation as your fingertips, which are placed on the mat in front of you. And you're going to hold steady here, maybe pushing the mat away if you need to. You can perhaps reach for a block and just lean into the block if the floor is not accessible to you. Then keep your left leg where it is and start to change the angle on the front leg, thinking almost a warrior two-like stance. You can either keep the back leg off the mat, or you can bend that leg and come into a bent modification. All right, so set up your side angle, maybe tapping your right hand to the floor and then pushing up and relaxing on your knee. The back hand, you can just relax to the back of your thigh. You're going to drop down to the floor, and you could use that block underneath your hand if the floor is not accessible. Then inhale to come back up to a nice high stand. Exhale to drop down. Inhale to come back up. One last time. Maybe staying here or relaxing that bottom hand and taking a bind underneath the legs, bringing the two hands together behind your back, making a little bear grip, tugging down with one hand and up with the other. Then bleed your way softly back to the midline. Start to find that soft plie line. So think more rotation through the feet if you can. Bleed up. Give me a soft tap to the floor and back. The feet are a little bit more rotated out if you can manage it, but if you find that that disrupts your sense of balance too much, you can come more to a V-like position with the toes looking towards the front corner of your mat. So just experiment, see where your body needs to be. Give yourself about 5 taps to the floor, yeah? And then in tapped, start to square up the feet. Find prasarita padottanasana and just pause here. Maybe trying to get more drop down through the hands. Maybe you've got the palms connected to the mat, or maybe you've just got fingertips touching, or maybe you've placed that block on the floor. Try to find an even weight placement on the feet. And then let's set up that side stretch on the second leg. So now we're going to be keeping the right leg where it is. We're going to pivot to look towards the back of the mat, thinking warrior two-like stance, placing the left hand on the inseam of the left leg. You can just relax the other arm at your side. Peel up, maybe tapping the top of your knee, and then exhale to gently drop down, keeping belly to spine as you begin playing between the higher frame and the gentle drop down, using the arm almost as a prop to push against the inseam of your bent leg so that you can get a little bit more opening through the inner thighs into the whole pelvis of that bent leg. Maybe staying here on the last one, maybe looking for that little bind between the two thighs, maybe getting a little bit more drop down through the pelvis, keeping belly to spine. Then bleed your way from here back to the middle. Looking for more of a turnout through your feet. Bleed up. Exhale to tap. A little bit more, almost rotation of the inner thighs out towards the two ends, the front and the back end of your mat. And maybe shoot for 5 taps to the floor. And then come back, looking for that drawing up of the energy along the leg line as you stand up nice and tall. So make sure it's an active stretch. Then on your 5th tap, staying down there, squaring up through the feet, seeing if you can get more drop down. Trying to maybe surreptitiously slide those legs a little bit further apart if you can. And then set up your warrior 2-like stance. So begin to walk towards the top end of the mat and start to straighten up your right leg. Make sure you've got a knee over ankle. You're going to give me a drop down with the right arm on the inseam of that leg. And then push up, maybe relaxing or resting your palm to the top of your lead thigh. Then exhale to run your hand down the inseam of the leg. Push and resist. Maybe you're tucking that back hand behind your back. Maybe even reaching your fingertips for the inseam of that bottom leg. And keeping it there as you start to play. So now extending that opening from your belly center through your chest center. So now activating not only into the bottom 3, but extending it into the 4th energy center. Give yourself a few drop downs here. Anywhere between 3 and 5 repetitions, depending on how long you're holding each drop. Then maybe staying here on the last one, keeping that bind with the backhand wrapped around fingertips, grasping for the inseam of the bottom leg. Then square up again. Find that either V frame or more of a turnout frame through the legs. So a more inner rotation of the thighs. Bleed up, straighten up the legs, pull up the energy from the feet to the knees, from the knees to the belly, from the belly to the sky. Exhale to tap. Give yourself anywhere between 3 and 5 taps. Pausing, looking for that stretch in the top of your thighs. Looking for that drop down through the whole pelvic floor as you bend the knees and tap the fingertips down. And just set up a beautiful innate rhythm of your own. Hold your last drop down, square up. Find Prasarita. Look for that sense of trying to balance the weight on all 4 corners of your feet so that it feels like you've got the same amount of weight on the heel and the ball of each foot. Then start to find your side stretch on side 2. So starting to pivot towards the back end of the mat, bending the lead leg, placing the left arm on the inseam of that leg and maybe tucking the right arm behind your back, reaching your fingertips for the inseam of the lead leg. Lead up and then softly tap back down. Getting a nice bit of opening, not only through the chest center, but through the shoulders as you wrap that arm behind your back. Let's do one more. Holding. Then find your way from here back into that prasarita-like line. So you're going to keep both of your feet squared so that the toes are looking in the same orientation as your fingertips would be if you place them hands down on the mat in front of you. You're going to start by placing your hands gently off center to the left. Then you're going to bend the right knee and you're going to sweep the arms around like a little rainbow and then come back to your start position in the middle. Start to bend the leg, sweep the arms around and come back to the middle. You're going to try to do that maybe 3 to 5 times. You can readjust your leg line if you need to, bending the right leg only. The next time you give me a rainbow sweep to the right, you're going to pause there, you're going to drop down a little bit more, try to get a little bit more bend in that right knee. Fingertips are just softly on the floor, wherever feels good for you. And then we're going to try to come into a full skandasana from here by walking your hands maybe closer towards your body. Start to maybe splay the right foot out softly at 45. Try to get more drop down through the pelvis. Try to extend the left leg and point the toes up to the sky. We're going to keep both sets of hands on the mat in front and just pause here. Think of your bum bones hovering softly off the floor, and if you need to, you could even take a block. You could play with the block, and you could find a seat for yourself sitting down onto the block if you find that you need a little bit of support for your frame. Then drop bum to floor, relax the right knee to the floor, setting up a gate-like line, maybe tucking that back heel nice and close to your bum. You've either got an L frame between the two legs, or you can bring the two knees closer together. If this particular frame is not good for your knees today, you can maybe change the setup and bring the sole of your foot to the inseam of your extended leg. So set up a gate line that works for you. You're going to relax your left hand to the top of your left thigh. Take a big breath in, look for that sense of lengthening through the trunk. And then on an exhale, you're going to relax your left elbow down to the floor. You're going to try to tap the elbow and the forearm to the floor, or you could play with the block and just place the block on the floor and lean into the block if you prefer. You're going to drop down and come back to your start position. Just keep your right hand relaxed on that back thigh. Give yourself anywhere between 3 to 5 drop downs. Think of listening with your ear to the mat and then come back. Then on your last drop down, you're going to hold that anchoring into the mat, and you're going to, bowling-like action, float the top arm overhead. You're going to reach long through the whole meridian of that arm. Try to stretch from your back hip bone, through the line of the ribs, through the line of the arms, and then reach long through the fingertips. From here, we're going to bring it into frog bekasana. And this one is quite intense into the whole pelvic and inner thigh region. So you're going to change your setup frame on the mat slightly. I'll give you a front view and then a side view. You're going to start rolling the weight forward, opening up your knees nice and wide. Make sure that your feet are not splayed out or tucked in. So you're going to try to knife edge the feet so the inside of the arch of your foot is looking down towards the mat. Side view. You've got your knee and your ankle in a straight line. You're going to place your hands on the mat in front of you, and you're going to rock the weight forward and backwards. Try to keep your whole pelvic carriage as low to the floor as you can. So try not to lift and lower. Try to keep working in a horizontal plane just over the mat. All right, so set up your bekasana and drag the weight forward and backwards. Trying to keep that whole pelvic carriage as low to the floor as you can. So you're thinking pubic bone hovering just off the mat the whole time. You're rocking the weight forward over your wrists. And then you're thinking bum towards your heels, pausing there. Maybe stopping in the bum to heel position and seeing if you can hold here for maybe a slow count of 10, 8, 6, 4, 2. We're going to come into a tadpole from here. So start to float the two heels in towards the center line, and then try to sit back with your bum on the floor. I'll give you a side view, and the feet softly wrapping around your bum. Yeah. You are going to feel the inner thighs. If your bum doesn't reach the floor, you could take a block or a scatter cushion and just sit gently into it. Just relax your hands maybe down to the floor in front of you. Keep your elbows nice and soft. Get a sense of that lengthening through your trunk again. So pretend that somebody's grabbing hold of your whole trunk and trying to lift it out from your hip bones and float your whole trunk up towards the sky. We're going to ease our way from here into a standing, floating butterfly. So when you're ready, you're going to come onto the haunches, but with your heels together and your knees looking out in a butterfly-like line. You're going to float softly up, little diamond frame between the legs, and back down again. Maybe shooting for 3 little floats up and down. Let's do one more. We're going to end standing, and then you're going to find your way back into that squared up prasarita line. So toes looking in the same orientation as your face. You're going to bend the left leg, sweep the hands from the right to the left and back to the middle. As you bend the left leg, you give me a rainbow trace round and back to center. Bend the leg, sweep the arms around. So just think of trying to trace a semicircle rainbow-like frame or pattern with your hands. You're going to end dropped to the left. Try to think of connecting your belly or your chest to the top of your bent leg. Then start to get more drop down through the pelvis. So think of trying to sit and hover your bum bones just off the mat. Begin to extend the right leg, toes looking up to the sky. If you need to, place a block or a scatter cushion beneath your bum bones to support your skandasana frame. Pause here. Then ease your way from here into a gate line by taking an actual seat on the mat, relaxing your left knee to the floor. Tuck the heel as close to your bottom as you can. Readjust your weight and make sure that your bum bones are equally weighted into the mat. Relax your left hand on the thigh. Place your right hand maybe on the top of your extended leg. And then on an exhale, drop the whole elbow and forearm to the floor. Pause. Think of listening to the mat. And then inhale to come back. Do that maybe 3 or 5 times, depending on how long you're holding that drop. You're going to hold the last drop. So think forearm to floor, pushing with the elbow on the inseam of the leg, and you're going to give me a soft bowling-like action on the other arm, and then start to stretch through the back hip, through the whole rib cage, through the line of the arms. When you're ready, you're going to set up your frog line from here. So open up the knees nice and wide. Try to have the ankles and the knees on the same axis. Then you're going to lean the weight forwards and backwards, trying to keep your pubic bone just hovering off the mat so that it feels like it's moving in a horizontal plane as you gently lean forward and backwards. You're going to feel quite an intense stretch into the inseam of your inner thighs, feeding into the whole pelvis. So work mindfully, yeah? Try to stop in the back stretch and hold there for 10, 8, 6, 4, 2. We're going to bleed into a tadpole from here. So start to bring the heels closer towards your bum line, almost softening the feet as if they were preparing to cup your, just around your bottom, and then sit back. Readjust your weight if you need to, and just hang here in the middle. Maybe fingertips gently on the floor, or maybe they're placed on the top of your thighs. Get that sense of lengthening through the trunk, and just give yourself a moment here to enjoy the benefits of the stretch. It is quite intense, so just try to relax and lengthen your breathing. And let's find our way into our butterfly line from here. So think haunches. Place your hands maybe on the tops of your thighs. Float up, little diamond frame, and come back down again. Maybe just 2 or 3 floats, depending on how your balance is feeling and how wobbly or shaky your inner thighs are feeling. All right, last time. Let's find Prasarita. Nice and wide. Start to fold forward. When you're ready, you're going to keep the toes looking in the same orientation, and you're going to bend on one side, starting to trace that rainbow sweep. Every time you start to bend the right leg, you reach left, and then you arc right. And then come back to the middle. Bend, sweep left, arc right, come back to the middle. Start to trace that little rainbow arc on the floor. You're going to end with your sweep to the right. Pause here, reaching long through your fingertips, keeping the left leg extended and keeping the right leg bent. Then see if you can start dropping your pelvis lower to the floor. Start to peel the toes of your other leg off the floor, maybe just relaxing both hands or sets of fingertips to the mat and trying to hold. Think of it as a half squat line with one leg extended. Maybe actively using your right hand. Maybe you could even come to an active prayer position here and actively use that right elbow to get even more opening on the inseam of your bent leg. Then relax down into your gate line. Set up the gate line that worked for you. Take a moment to make sure that both of your bum bones are firmly connected to the mat. This time, take the right arm, tuck it behind your back. Give the arm a little tug and see if you can reach your fingertips to just grasp the inseam of your extended leg. Then give me a little drop down, elbow to floor, trying to keep that bind behind your back if you can. And if reaching for the inner thigh is not an option for you, just bend the arm and tuck it behind your back, and then play with that drop down onto the left elbow and back. Give yourself between 3 to 5 little drop downs, opening up the top shoulder and looking towards the sky every time you drop down onto the left elbow. Maybe holding your last one, trying to keep that backhand wrapped behind your back, trying to get more rotation through the shoulders and peeking up towards the sky. Open up through your throat center by looking up to the sky. Then bleed up and find your way from here into your frog line. Take the widest knee stance that you can. Check that your ankles are on the same axis. You can either keep the arms extended, playing with that forwards and that backward stroke, or maybe you'd like to try this time to drop down onto the forearms. So now you're thinking of floating not just your pelvis, but also your chest just off the floor. So you're moving horizontal forwards and backwards every time, trying to hold that backstroke, maybe a second or two more, so that you feel more opening, more stretch happening into the whole pelvis. Give yourself anywhere between 3 to 5 forward and backward strokes. And then try to end on the backstroke and hold for 10, 8, watch that you're not collapsing, 4, 3, 2, we're going to find our way into a tadpole line from here. So if you were on the forearms, just bleed back up onto the arms, start to bring your feet in closer towards your bum, start to soften through the feet. Think of trying to make a little soft seat for you to push your bum cheeks back into as you find your tadpole line. Maybe placing your hands on the hips. Maybe even looking for an active prayer position with both hands behind your back, 2 palms together, or 10 fingertips looking up to the sky. And of course, if bringing yourself into that prayer position is not for you, just bend at the elbow, stack one arm on top of the other, and maybe modify your movement. We're going to ease our way into our standing butterfly before we repeat the sequence one last time to the left. So find your way into your butterfly haunch line. Take a moment to situate yourself, maybe placing the hands on the top of your thighs. Or maybe you can work sans hands, tucking them behind your back. Maybe just using that loose interlace. Or you could come to that active prayer position with both hands behind your back as you froggy up and down. So just see how the balance is feeling. See where you need to be. Maybe just 3 floats up and down. And then find your way one last time into Prasarita. To repeat the sequence one last time to the left. Find Prasarita, placing your fingertips on the mat. Keep the right leg extended, bend the left leg, then start to trace that rainbow trace with your hands. Straighten up the legs as you come to the middle, and as you bend the left leg, start to float right and then left as if you were tracing a semicircle with your fingertips on the floor. Maybe starting to reach past your left foot every time you trace. One last time. End left, holding, trying to drop your whole pelvis nice and low to the floor. Then start to bring the hands closer, start to get more drop down through your bum bones. Begin to actively try to almost sit down and hover your bum just off the mat. Keeping your right leg long and extended. Both hands are just gently connected to the mat. You can almost softly claw. Maybe you'd like to come to an active prayer position here. Or maybe you're just pushing with the tricep on the inseam of that bent leg. Play with it. Let's find our way into a gate line from here. Gently sitting down onto your bum. Take a moment just to check that both of your bum bones are equally weighted into the mat. And then let's focus on the back hand. Tuck the arm either loosely behind your back or reach for the hand, give it a little tug and see if you can bring it around to say hello to the inseam of your extended leg. Then give me an elbow drop down on the other side and peel back up. Shooting for a few drops here, anywhere between 3 and 5. Try to get more rotation on that top shoulder maybe looking up to the sky every time you drop down onto the left forearm. Then maybe holding your last one. Keep the foot of your extended leg active and look up towards the sky so that you're getting a nice bit of a twist and rotation into the trunk. Lead up and find your way into your frog frame. Ow, from here. Square up your feet and your ankle, either working with an extended arm line or maybe looking for an opportunity to drop down onto the forearms. Drag your weight forward over the wrists and then push back, bum to heel. Try to keep your whole carriage nice and low to the floor so it feels like your pubic bone and your chest is hovering just off the mat. Work mindfully. Remember that backstroke is where you are actively working and deepening into the stretch. So every time you push back, maybe try to hold for a second or two longer, but listen to your body. Move and hold when you need to. Try to end in the backstroke and hold for 10, 8, 6, 4, 2. You're going to find your way into tadpole from here. Bleed your way back into an extended arm line. Start to float the feet in towards the center line. Start to soften through the feet, almost creating a soft little backrest for your bum. Readjust your weight if you need to. Maybe hands on the floor, hands on your hip creases, or maybe tucking the arms behind your back, or looking for an opportunity to find that inverted prayer position again, with the two palms flush together behind your back, all 10 fingertips looking towards the sky as you drop down nice and low through your pelvic center, your Muhalarda chakra. Using that inverted prayer positions to start opening up through the chest center as well. Then ease your way from here into your butterfly float. Take a moment. If the legs are feeling really achy, just take a moment to gently ease your way into your butterfly line. Maybe hands resting on the tops of your thighs, maybe hands tucked behind the back, or maybe you'd like to keep that inverted prayer position as you float up and down. So the legs aren't fully extended when you come up. You're keeping a softness to the knee, so there's almost a soft little diamond-like frame between your legs. You're going to end standing, maybe dropping down through the feet. So now you're in a Pilates V. And then just take a moment to keep that V position as you take a big breath in, circling the hands overhead to come down gently in active prayer. Maybe just doing that 3 times. Big breath in as you circle, keeping the turnout position on your legs, coming down in active prayer, pushing into those palms, the elbows tracking nice and wide. Last one, biggest breath in. Bring it down and end off your playtime for today. Till next time, keep it light.